the first thing in your resume that you need to do is you need to understand the font size and then also the font type that you want to use. My recommendation will be using Times New Roman using Times New Roman in terms of the font style, but in terms of the font size itself, I recommend in this section here you use 12. So if you actually use 12 in that resume, it will make it much easier for the ATS system to be able to pass your resume. And then also you have to be aware of this as well. This the size of the font here, you have to be cognizant of that. The size that I recommend there is you can actually use size 15 here, or you can actually use a higher size there. Now here you can use font size 12 here, and then also make sure you specify your phone number and your email. Now this is your name. Your name goes at the top, followed by your location. Your location also helps the HR to also know, okay, where is this user located? Is this a fit for the current position that we're trying to fill out for? For example, a job posting in New York. You need to make sure that you're actually living in New York in a nearby state to be able to apply. Because if a job posting says it's on site and your resume you're in New York and guess what, you're in California, it's one of the things that most HR will tend to look at, nearness to location. That is where, even though if you're able to scale through the address barrier, if your resume is actually strong, they tend to offer you a work relocation package. So our next part is your phone number. Make sure your phone number is legible and your email is also legible. Not just legible only, make sure they are also reachable. If somebody call you, make sure you're able to pick up the phone. If an email is being sent to you, make sure you're able to reply to the email. Now, the next one is the most important part, the skills. The skills is basically like, okay, tell me about yourself without me seeing you. Let me just look at your document. This skill set should be able to communicate every single thing about your skill set before it even goes into the work experience. For example, here, it talks about, I have X plus years of experience in DevOps, CI/CD, infrastructure, automation. Basically, all the things that you've done for those number of years, you can actually communicate that out. A typical HR seeing this resume knows that, okay, this person have about 10 years of experience in CI/CD. The person has about 5 years of experience in terms of automation. When it comes to AI, probably like 2 years of experience when it comes to AI. That also helped the HR team to filter out candidates as well. Now also a strong experience in various roles in DevOps, cloud. So this also communicate that, okay, this person understands cloud technologies and the person also understands how software integration works and also how to handle packages, how to handle build, automation and release code from one environment to another. Basically the old deployment spec. The person seems to understand it. This is even without diving or before diving into the person's experience. And then also your strength, you tend to communicate your strength, which is in this case here, strong experience in designing, architecting AI solution on AWS cloud infrastructure, as well as migration of on-prem to AI cloud infrastructure. This is basically combining the two. You are bringing in the new trend and also the old trend. The new trend is AI. AI is everywhere, right? And then the old trend is usually migrating from on-prem to the cloud. So this single sentence here, it communicates both, which is you have strong experience in designing and architecting AI solution on AWS, right? That is a new trend. Now the old trend has always been migrating from on-prem to AWS infrastructure. This also communicates that. And the only thing that is missing here is it locks you into AWS. So far, I haven't mentioned anything about Azure or Google GCP, right? So this is like AWS focused on resume style. Now, the next thing here is strong experience in Terraform methodology modules. So here you have to communicate your skill set in terms of infrastructure as code. This is largely based on the job description that this resume was tailored for. Also, all your strengths, also make sure you communicate that appropriately in the skills section. Now, let's dive into the work experience. In the work experience bit, make sure you clearly define work experience title, and then also make sure the company, you specify the company. In this case, it's company X in New York, and the role, you specify the role, and if you are currently working in the company, you specify that as present. Now, in this section here, you have to clearly specify what are the things that you did in the company, not just migration file. I did X, I did this, I did that. No, you have to be able to articulate what you did. For example, You're able to create and maintain all AWS services while implementing infrastructure as code across infrastructure. It shows what you created. It also shows what you own. You created it. You also maintain it. It means you also own that process itself. And then also, you're also responsible for migrating entire GCP infrastructure to AWS. Mind you, GCP um, was mentioned here. It's also reaffirmed that this person is somebody that is familiar with AWS because you're able to migrate from GCP to AWS. And also, building and maintaining and updating and the CI/CD platform. Once again, it communicates. You can build, you can maintain, and then also you can also update, and as well as introducing some form of automation around it as well. So this also communicates that you have a sense of ownership when it comes to your resume. I mean, when it comes to your job, and all this is communicated in your resume. And then also, here it shows that you migrated and integrated monitoring solution for gathering and analyzing log metrics. This also communicated your capability in terms of being able to perform migration and also being able to perform integration. While you're able to do that, it also shows that you're also exposed to monitoring solutions as well. Monitoring solutions such as Splunk, such as Helk Stack, and then also such as database. So being able to perform database migration, being able to implement a login solution is adequately communicated here, and also you're also reaffirming your sense of ownership. And also design architect new cloud infrastructure for new product. This shows that you are constantly in the product life cycle of the company. You're not just working in silo, right? You are deeply embedded into the life cycle of creating a new product and then also fleshing out new services as well. And then also you can set up, automate end-to-end deployment pipeline. It also shows your capability. And then also it shows, and this section here says introduce sec DevOps methodology into the DevOps processes. It shows that you are someone who can actually bring in new initiatives to new companies, or I mean, to a company that you're actually working. The fact that you can actually introduce DevSecOps methodology into the DevOps processes, it shows that you think outside the box. You're always finding a way to actually solve the problem in the company as well. Also, setting up MongoDB, this also reaffirm your skill set and then what you can implement, what you're able to establish, what you implemented, and platform deployment and engineering standardization, customer alerting. So this shows that even though you can implement, you have a sense of ownership regarding the product and also its services. You also someone that also ensure there's form of like standard across different tool sets, and you are very fine tuned to the concept of alerting such as if there's a downtime or there's an issue in a particular region, your sense of ownership and also the way you actually respond to it, and the fact that you also introduce you also mentioned alert reporting and post-mortem report. Basically, after the end of an incident, the whole thing doesn't just go into silo. You tend to create a post-mortem report that is very detailed to actually address that, specify the root cause of the problem, and then also how it was remediated. This also alerts a sense of ownership as well. And also, as the lead DevOps, you mentor and maintain on-site and offshore team remote here. And this communicate that even though you have a sense of ownership and you have a sense of duty to actually document issues, you're also a team player, and then also you're also a leader that is able to actually lead and mentor other your co-workers. And also you can also impact knowledge, which is something that most companies actually they need. They need someone who can actually be a team player, who can lead, and who can also contribute to the technical culture of the company. And also cognizant DevOps practices, level activity, such as representing DevOps for multiple product development. So this shows that even outside of your team, you can also represent your team. It means the team is able to trust you enough to be able to represent them when it comes to discussing about the product to other shareholders of the company, and then also discussing about a new product or a new project that they're about to embark on. So you're a team player and you're confident in terms of being able to articulate yourself. You can also break down technical documentation or technical language into smaller into a format that can be understood by product shareholders, such as people in the marketing team, the project manager, the scrum master. You are deeply embedded into the product lifecycle. So That is what working in how you can actually articulate yourself in your resume when you're describing your capability in a company. The same thing applies to company Y, where issues are you able to use spearheaded the development, design, automation of an entire new product and production infrastructure by creating the Terraform module framework across different infrastructure environments. So this shows that you're able to spearhead a project. Remember, you came from this job experience to this. There's a progression in also in your work history. This also shows the fact that you can able to spearhead this, and then your next role you're able to lead and mentor other engineers both on site and also off site. It shows that there's a progression in your career, not just a nice wording on your resume. And then also the fact that you are also cognizant with migration and integration monitoring solution is to reemphasize, okay, this is a skill set that this person carries along. So the fact that he was able to do it in company Y and also able to do it in company X, this is a skill set that this person truly does have. Also goes into design and architecting of the product in this company, setting up the deployment lifecycle in this company. Most likely, it shows that you are confident and cognizant with development lifecycle. Remember, in different companies have different tools and priorities. So in this company, it seems like they need you implemented a CI/CD and framework, and then also you're cognizant with migration and also collaboration, which reinforce a team player activities. You able to develop a strategy, which shows you have good confidence in communicating with your external coworker and with your coworker about a strategy that you came up with, and then also maintaining and also able to spearhead designing an infrastructure solution and maintain a 99.99% uptime and a quick turnaround for automated deployment through high optimization of infrastructure. So it also shows a sense of like ownership as well, and also are responsive and not reactive to issues, where you basically set up an infrastructure or a flow that reemphasizes what you can do, not just you being reactive to the issue. Also, currently spearheading migration from Jenkins. So it also shows that it reinforces the notion of being capable of doing the migration. Also, unencumbered freedom to innovate, automate everything. Most likely, this is something that is coding, where you emphasize that, okay, the company you're working at, you're acknowledging the company that this company allows me to have the freedom to improve, innovate, and automate every single thing. It shows that you have good history of the company that you're coming from, and for this company to actually consider you, they actually see you as a plus, because you also be able to actually boast about what you can do or what you've been able to accomplish in their company as well on your resume. So, and then the last part is having your education actually structured, or you can have your certification here if you don't have any education, or you can remove it. For most tech jobs, education and certification are usually optional, but certification is usually good because it just shows that, yeah, you have a certification and also you went to school. Yeah, so this is how I will structure my resume, and these are actually structure my resume. And make sure you just don't put out nice fancy words. Let it connect from the previous job to the new job, and then also talk about what you're able to do, not have a bullet point of things that you did. Something you're able to own, something you're able to spearhead, something you're able to implement, and then also something you're able to set up within the company, such as you're able to spearhead the development and design and automation, and you're able to fix a problem. Not just fix a problem, you fix the problem and you also introduce a solution that prevents the problem from recurring. And then also, when you go to a job interview with this kind of resume, most of the questions that you'll be asked will be from some part of these questions, such as, oh, in your resume, we saw that you actually talk about building and maintaining and updating and automating the system CI/CD pipeline. You also templated kube config and upgrade. Can you walk us through how were you able to do it? So that is where your question will come from. So if you truly did it, guess what? It will be much easier for you to communicate that, okay, this is how I was able to do it. We actually had a problem and I was able to build a solution around it. And I set up a CI/CD job for maintaining the application. And then also when it comes to updating the flow, I use a CI/CD to implement a CI/CD flow to continuously update the application. And also in terms of automation, I set up an automation, SSL automation, to be able to automatically patch any form of certificate that's about to expire. So that's how I was able to do it. It'll be much easier for you to talk about. And in case you're being asked, oh, you introduce sec DevOps methodology into the DevOps process. How are you able to do it? This kind of question. So you'll be able to talk about, okay, sec DevOps, I was able to do that because I realized that we need to scan our infrastructure periodically for security vulnerabilities. I was able to set up a security framework that allows that to be automated. I was able to set up a CI/CD pipeline, and I was able to set up all these beautiful tools like Certbot, Let's Encrypt, and some guardrail that you put together around the infrastructure that you're able to implement. So you can basically discuss things like that. Those are the things that makes interview even much interesting. It also communicates your skill set. But before you get to the job interview, you need to be able to like put all those train of thought and all those amazing stuff you've done. You need to be able to put that into your resume.